Good evening, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Cioffi, S&S Storm Chasers. We're going to take a look and what's going on with the current radars. There's a lot of what's happening. Very busy radars across much of coastal South Carolina and offshore. Right now, it appears that most of the heavier action, in terms of looking at some of the latest warnings that are up, are basically special marine warnings. But we do have some heavier embedded thunderstorms. It's kind of this snaking line that goes back just north of Savannah. And then there's another break, and we have another line, an east-west line that's forming across the border here on the Florida panhandle with Alabama, and then back over to just east of New Orleans, it looks like, just east of the coast. We have some weakening cells there. So this seems to be where the action is at the moment. And I want to take a look. Let's take one, let's go a little further west. And the action kind of decreases once you go west of there. And the Severe Storms Forecast Center, the Storm Prediction Center rather, emphasizing this area of Texas, of southern Texas, as a possibility for some severe weather. And we'll show you here on their risk areas. Let me just back up just a little bit. There we go. And this is what's expected for this evening. We have a marginal risk across Florida. That marginal risk along the coastal panhandle of Florida back to coastal Louisiana. That probably may be winding down soon. And then we have this marginal to enhanced risk that's over parts of South Texas. Now, the other issue I want to talk about is as we go through the rest of the week and into the weekend, because there's and into early next week, because we talked about this yesterday in the formation of what looks like a very strong cutoff low. What we mean by cutoff lows is exactly this. They separate from the main part of the jet stream, and they basically cut themselves off from the main flow, and that's models are still forecasting this to happen. And this is a pretty impressive little system here for the latter part of May that lifts up northward toward Long Island for the middle of next week. So I think what's going to come out of this is actually two coastal lows, one that will affect this area for New Jersey and Long Island later Saturday night into early Sunday when there's a full moon. So there might be some coastal flooding issues with that. And then again, as we go into Tuesday into early Wednesday, when the upper low itself just intensifies and lifts up to the north. The European was particularly interesting with this because it has a very well-defined upper low, wraps it up quite impressively here off the New Jersey coast for early next week with the second low. And I'm just going to quickly show you what it does at the surface because this sort of caught my eye. Now, I want to caution that when you see the European lately has had a tendency of overdeveloping these lows that it's been trying to make along the coast. Just 2 weeks ago, it had a 980 millibar bomb sitting not too far from where this low is being shown. But this would be a fairly wrapped up gale center if this were the case. Now, the GFS has a much weaker pressure profile with this, but nonetheless, it still has low pressure that's going to be heading northward up the coast. And this is the second low I'm talking about for Tuesday into Wednesday. So the first one, I'll just back it up just a little bit. And let me get you a better map view. We'll go to the slightly wider one. And then we will go to the precip. And we'll run it along here. So here's that first low for late Saturday night when we have the full moon, and that passes by just offshore. It's a little further south on this particular run, and then after that, I'm going to just back it up to the earlier run. So there it is. It's actually maybe a shade southwest of where it was on the prior run, and then that goes out. Here's that second low that just lifts up and around and comes inland over Long Island. So that on the European is even deeper, and I'll just punch that up for you real quick here. There's that upper air on the European, and here it is where it with respect to the surface. I'm sorry, that was the GFS. I'm just getting a little ahead of myself here. There's the European. That's a pretty well wrapped up gale center that when it does something for multiple runs, seems to be onto something. And especially when they're not that far off, they pretty much all have the same idea. So we'll keep you abreast of this, and we'll let you know all the latest goings on probably around this time tomorrow. So have a good evening and a good rest of your night.